Hello everybody, welcome to the fourth tutorial of C# and SQL Server. In the last tutorial we built a new table and we made some diagram and one relation between two tables. In the last tutorial I told this one the relation make an index on the contact ID of the other one as well. When you set the one field to primary key, by default it makes an index on it, and on the second one it indexes it as well. But another thing is important is about the constraint that it builds a relation. If I don't have the relation, I can enter some records in that one with the contact ID which is not available in this one. Then I will have some useless records in these ones that I cannot retrieve, I cannot refer it to other table. But when I build this one, some constraints will be built that ensures I cannot do that. If I click on this one and in the properties window I can see enforce foreign key constraint. What it means? It means if I want to insert a record in this table, the contact ID, which is the foreign key now, should refer to a valid record on this table, or it should be null. Let's try to see what happens if we want to enter some invalid data. For example, I have contact ID from 1 to 5 here, and here I have added some records, and my contact ID is 1, 1, and 2. Means I have phone numbers for only these two first records. Now I want to add another one, but this time I write this one 4 and the other one, for example, 10. Then I write, for example, mobile, and the other one is a phone number. Then it says the data row 4 was not committed. This shows the error generator, error source, and the message is the insert statement conflict with the foreign key constraint. FK phone numbers might underscore my table. The conflict occurred in database my contacts and the other tables. The column contact ID, which is our interest now, makes this. I press escape to escape from this problem. So I entered another what. So you see now it can be null. It can be null, but not something invalid. So I can use it, for example, as 3, then a number in it, then what happened to my computer? I don't know. It's responding. SQLServer doesn't respond now. Okay, no, it's fine. So everything is fine now. So we need to have a valid record on this one. So no, it's fine. But how can I filter some data? For example, I want to see every record that relates to this field only. I just want to see the record relates to this one, not the other ones. I want to filter this table. How can I do that? So let's try our query analyzer again to write a simple command again. I write select star from it was, I think, phone number, I think it's correct. No, the phone number is wrong. I don't know. Phone number Z. Okay. Invalid object name should be my database. Okay. So I have all of them now, but I want to see only and only the records with contact ID of 1. So the thing I add is where contact ID is equal to 1. Then I execute this query and it shows me the things I want. So now I want to do the same C# program to send this command for the other table to retrieve the data I'm interested in. So let's go back to C#. I built that one to make this tutorial much shorter. So I built that one. I just go through the explanation, not building the code here. Okay, let me run it first. Okay, now I have two DataGridView, two of them. This one shows my contacts, names and addresses, and the other one shows me the phone number. Wherever I click, it reads the phone numbers I have. For example, this the first record I have two of them. Let's add another one to see what happens. Okay, let's add another one for number 5 and contact ID 1 again, another mobile phone. Everybody now has more than one mobile phone. And these days. Okay, I just run it. Now I have 3 records for my first record in the left side. So this is very much more convenient. Any of them I click, I see the phone numbers on the right. These are empty, but these ones have. So each row I select, I will see the appropriate records on the right hand side. So let's see how this code is built. I go to the code and let's go back for the designer. Okay, let's see the designer. I added another data adapter as I did in the first tutorial. I double click on this one. I bring it here. I give it the command, the query using query builder. Let's go back to them, data adapter configuration. The connection string that I need to connect to my database. SQL statements. I enter the SQL server using query builder, and just I finish it and it generates me everything. Then I right click on it. I generate a data set. I can generate a new data set, or I can put it in the first data set. But I built another one. You can use the other one. Let's go through it again. Generate data set. I can use the existing one. I can use a new one. You can select between the existing one, and you can add this table to the previous data sets, and it update that data set to a new class and with new table. So it is fine. Then in the form load, I want to read the contact ID from my DataGridView. DataGridView that selected rows is an array list of rows. Index 0 means the first selected item. From item I mean the rows, the data row. So column 0, cell 0 dot value, and I change it to, I cast it to a string, and I put it to a string value, string contact ID equals to this one. Let's see what is our cell 0 in our DataGridView, this one. I use this one, edit column. I put it, see, the first one is contact ID, which is not visible here. It starts from the first name, but my 0 index column is contact ID, not first name. But I can make it invisible if I don't want to show it to the user. I can come here in the property list and I put it in alphabetical A to Z. Then I change the visible to false. That makes it invisible, but I can still access it and read the data from it. Okay, so in the form load, I do that. Then I use SQL data adapter 1 dot select command dot command text. The same thing I built here. Where's the designer of this form? Okay. You remember I added a SQL command to my designer and I used it. SQL data adapter has one SQL command object in it, so I can access it using this kind of dot notation, SQL command to dot select command dot command text. You remember the each SQL command object has a property of command text, so I can access it like this. Then I give it a select command, easily select a star from phone numbers where contact ID is equal to, I finish it here, then I add I concatenate this string with this string. Okay. Then remember, everything goes to the SQL from .NET or I send it with everywhere. It should go as a string. All of them is a string, but as long as it doesn't have these quotes around it, two single quotes around it, the SQL Server knows it should be a number. It's an integer type, for example. So I put it like this way. Then I write SQL adapter 2 dot fill dot dataset 2.1 is the new database I built. The class will be dataset 2 and the object will be dataset 2.1 or 21. That's phone numbers. Phone numbers is the data table I have. So it fills it and it will be ready. If I run it, so it would be like this. But you remember on the older tutorials, if I could click on these cells, but I cannot do it now. I want to have only one row, and I cannot select more than one row here. You see? Index out of range must non-negative as in less than the 0 in the collection. So if I use the control thing, I want to make it as it gives me makes some problem. I didn't handle that one, but you can handle it. Then the error handling is in our tutorial this time. So I will have these things. I cannot select more than more than one. Sorry. So how can I do that? Okay, let's select this one first. The thing I don't want to add my user being able to add something to it. So I remove the check on this checkbox: enable adding, enable editing, enable deleting, and enable column reordering. Or if you want to use, you can use the reordering. Then you can click here and you reorder the data. But I don't want them. Then the other thing is on the right hand side properties, I have selection mode. Instead of cell select, I want to have full row select. I don't want to select one cell, I want to have a full row select. Each time I select a row, my selected rows array list will be filled with my selected, but I always want to have only one, so I put it on the full row select, and I change the multi-select, it is multi-select to the false. So having done that thing, I can only select one row at a time. I cannot select two of them. Then you remember I click on each of them, the right hand side changes to the appropriate data. What's going on here? I have to handle one event from this DataGridView, which is called selected_changed. So if I want to handle that, I want to make the handle this DataGridView one_selectionChanged. But how can I build such a thing? If I double click always brings you the default property of it. If I double click this way, it always goes to form load, but form has lots of other events you could handle. So let's try it. For example, instead of form load, I have to I want to handle the form closed. So I come here, properties window, but instead of properties I click on events. I click on events, and my form load is written form one dot underscore load. So I want to use to handle form closed. For example, I write form one underscore closed, and the second I press enter, this function will be built and will be connected to my form. So now this one happens anytime my form closes. Let's test it. Message box dot show. This is message box class. I can show a string on the screen. For example, form closed. Form closed. So let's run it. If I close the form, it says form closed, then the whole thing stops. So I don't want to implement this one, but I just want to implement DataGridView SelectionChanged event. So instead of clicking on the form, I click on the DataGridView. I come to the events, then I have here SelectionChanged. Then I write, I type here DataGridView one underscore SelectionChanged. I press enter. This will be automatically built by the environment. So then I do the same thing. I read the data from the DataGridView. Then if it is not empty, I change my selection command to this one, select the star from my numbers where contact ID is equal to this one. Then I clear my data set to one table phone numbers because I don't want duplicated data. Then this is how we handle some errors. Let's for now I just comment these ones. Let's see what happens. I commented all of them, so I have only this one, SQL something. I did it more right. This is not, it should be here. Okay. SQL data dot field dataset 21 phone number. So if I do that, let's see what happens. It generates an error and says there is already an open data reader associated with the command, which must be closed first. What happens? When it happens, when this data adapter 1 is reading the data and put it on the dataset and feeds it to the my DataGridView, selection change happens because it adds some data to it. Our selection changes by itself. So it goes and runs this one. As long as this connection is still open, I'm using only one connection for both of them. I only have one connection for both of them. And it says okay, so a data reader is open and it is connected to the server, and you cannot reuse it now. You have to first close this one, then do this one. So in the form load process, I don't want to use that to this method runs, or much easier is I want to ignore the error, or yes, ignore the error. I use try. Everything is between the try and these two is in the try, and starts with this one and ends with this one. This code will be executed first. If an exception happens, it throws an exception, it goes to the catch. If not, it goes out. So as long as my catch statement is empty, my catch braces are empty, means no code happens, no action happens. So it reaches here, then it goes out, and so I just ignore the error. Then after this form load process finished completely, now I can have access this one, and this one never generates an error in it. So I just run it. This time works well. I just ignored the error, but Let's try it to see what happens if in the form process something happens. Again, I use the message box that show. I want to show you the okay, error happened. Okay, error happened. So at the first time error happens, and then everything is fine. From now on, error never happens anymore. So that's it. This is try catch is very useful, and it has some other things could be added here, but I do it later. Let's do it one by one in different tutorials and upgrade our program to do that. So in the next tutorial we add the insertion things and updating all of these commands, but so this will be the end of the fourth tutorial. I welcome questions in the comments, and thanks for watching this one. See you in the next tutorial.